Hello and a very warm welcome to the Queen channel. Harry, our precious prince, officially entered the American market. From now on, he is to be known as a true American citizen, and he doesn't want anything to do with the UK anymore. Now, of course, the blood flowing through his body is the blood that comes from the royal family, but that really only concerns royal individuals. It doesn't have a thing to do with institutions or politics. So what is the reaction from people in the royal family? How's Harry feeling? We're going to update you on absolutely everything in this video right now. Realistically speaking, Harry becoming a US citizen is going to be a long and arduous process, but apparently he is still trying every day to make it happen as soon as possible. For Brits who are not big fans of Harry, so basically all Brits, well, okay, it's a good thing, but really it's not a bad thing for Harry either. In fact, there are a few benefits that becoming an American citizen could offer to Harry. And whatever public opinion may be, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, there are benefits to Harry and his family living in the US, both for them and for the country in some ways. He won't have to renew his visa on a regular basis. He can live and work in the US without facing any restrictions. Sure, if Harry becomes an American citizen, he will enjoy more rights and privileges, but he'll also have more obligations. He's going to have to pay U.S. taxes on an annual basis as a resident. And Gorgie has also pointed out that Harry and Meghan will be a beneficial part of the local community and contribute to the local economy. Well, okay, that could be true. I mean, let's look at what he did for the UK, though. The UK spent a lot of money and time raising him, and then he turned around and betrayed his homeland. He relied on the tax money to grow up in the UK, but then he headed to the US as soon as he could. I don't really know what else to do with this behavior. Honestly, it's confusing and it is completely unacceptable. Now, it could be beneficial for Harry himself, but there's also going to be a lot of problems coming his way. One thing that is pretty important and also complicated is this. I would think that he's going to have to argue his case in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. There is absolutely nothing in the U.S. Constitution allowing for natural-born U.S. citizens, like Harry's children, to have titles of nobility without losing their U.S. citizenship. So what is the end result going to be in this whole game? It is kind of funny, I gotta say, though. I think Harry and Meghan are just being way too greedy right now. They know their value has dropped to basically nothing, and their children, of course, are not at fault. So they're hoping to be able to take advantage of their kids, then they can get something more from the royal family and the UK, whether it be money or clout. In some ways, I guess it's kind of clever if it works, but I don't think it's going to. Now, of course, Harry is still a blood prince. That will never change. But that doesn't mean that he and Meghan can just do whatever they want to do. The more royal a person is, actually, the more strict and uptight they have to be because they're expected to set a good example for other citizens. They are the leaders, supposedly, but they're so irresponsible, and they have no credibility left. So why do we have to listen to a couple of people who have been so irresponsible towards the country that gave them so much? Maybe the royal family loves their descendants, Harry and Meghan's children, but it's important that UK taxpayers are not paying for those children's upbringing. I mean, just keep it like a personal small family matter. That would make sense. Honestly, I don't think Brits have that kind of altruism inside of them. They despise Harry and Meghan, and they have every reason to feel that way. There is also a pretty obvious drawback if you ask me. So the UK does allow for dual nationality or citizenship, so I guess Harry wouldn't have to give up his UK citizenship, and he could live anywhere in the world and keep both his US and UK citizenship. But remember, Harry is going to upset people with this decision, and I understand the institution has been around for a very long time. So maybe Harry can take advantage of that to do whatever he wants, but I don't think it's a good idea. The right thing for the royals to do would be to order Harry to revoke his British citizenship. Otherwise, I'm afraid he's going to become a lot more powerful, and this is not a good thing for most Brits. There's also no reason for Harry to even get U.S. citizenship, unless, of course, he's trying to vote legally. But I don't think he's ever going to give up his UK citizenship, so he would probably have to surrender his meal ticket, and I mean that title, Duke of Sussex. Let's also not forget that Meghan is never going to allow him to take that title away from her. I mean, come on now. That is so important to her. That's how she makes her money. It was not easy for Meghan Markle to trick Harry into helping her get into the royal family with all her sinister schemes, so she's not going to give up so easily. She may be able to find some other rich sucker to marry her, but he's not going to be a prince. And I don't know that I'm such a big fan of dual citizenship anyway. I mean, it's not right that people like Harry would get to have full say in the way their adopted country is run. It's a lot like giving the vote to a foreigner. Harry is a foreigner. Honestly, I think it's a bit too lax. In my opinion, every single person should only have one nationality, one country they're allowed to vote in, and they need to fulfill the responsibilities of a citizen working in that country. What is the point of dual citizenship? And I know probably some of you even have it, and I know many people don't abuse it, but I just don't trust Harry, to be honest. He just wants to use it to his advantage. And I'm sure he's going to deal with whatever comes his way. He is married to Meghan after all. I can't imagine how torturous that process is. I mean, just think about it, guys. Being married to and having to live with Meghan Markle, having to look at her face every single morning. I can't imagine a worse fate. But Harry still does it. And so the realization of becoming an American citizen has to not be too daunting for Harry to think about. So I think it's important that we don't mourn for people who simply don't deserve it. After all, Harry technically is eligible for American citizenship because he's married to an American citizen. That is, after all, how he got his visa. But it's not an easy process. It takes a very long time, and it's difficult. He would have to take an exam. I mean, come on, Harry can't pass an exam. And I think also Americans need to think about, what are Harry and Meghan going to do to benefit the country? Absolutely nothing. There have been rumors for quite a while now that their neighbors are sick and tired of them. I mean, they're sick and tired of the paparazzi coming around all the time, and also Harry and Meghan's superior attitude. So when they talked about moving, the Montecito residents were so excited, and residents in the new areas were asking if the rumors were true. I mean, they only bring problems to their neighbors. So why do they need so many paparazzi all the time? Well, because they have so many deceptions and mysteries, like the children, for example. Still, nobody has been able to confirm whether or not those children are even real. I mean, who can blame them? The paparazzi are just doing their job, I guess, and Harry and Meghan are also calling them up too. So Harry and Meghan need to accept everything that comes their way unless they're willing to actually be honest. So emigration is not an easy experience. It's actually a very long process. And anybody who has been through it can tell you that it is not easy. I mean, it takes a very long time, years even. You have to have medical exams done by doctors. You don't get to choose the doctor either. You have to have x-rays. You have to have two if the first one's not clear enough. You have to go through police checks. There have to be all these character references. You have to pay a lot of money too. I mean, lawyers do not come cheap. And then poor people are just left waiting while they decide if you pass everything. You have to be absolutely squeaky clean to become an American citizen. Harry is not. I guess Harry just assumes that because he is a prince and married to a U.S. citizen, it's going to be a breeze for him. He's not going to have to go through all that. I'm sure his lawyer will find a way around it. It's really a case of let's wait and see what's going to happen. But you know, if he's accepted, he's going to still trade on his royal status because he has nothing else to offer. When Harry takes the oath of allegiance at his naturalization ceremony to become a U.S. citizen, he will not only have to declare renouncing all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign country, but he's also supposed to be renouncing all inherited titles or orders of nobility. I do understand how becoming a U.S. citizen would be great for Harry, but it wouldn't be great for the country. What benefits, after all, does America get from such a loser, somebody who occasionally will give a speech, a word salad speech that doesn't make any sense, and then just turns around and goes to play a polo match and abuse some horses, and then just flies back and forth over the country in private jets? It does sound like a win-win situation for Harry and a lose-lose for everybody else. Honestly, I don't think America deserves all the discomfort and trouble that comes along with Harry. I wish the US would just deport him. I mean, the UK doesn't want him back, I know. They were just hoping that he would go to some distant place and live there with his narcissistic wife for the rest of his life. Honestly, though, who wants to put up with all the evil emanating from the gruesome twosome? So I hope that for Harry, maybe they can pass a special law and say no dual citizenship for you. After all, Harry is not American. He wasn't born on a military base. That would not have given him that dual citizenship title. And I don't know that the Department of Homeland Security even allows dual citizenship for British citizens. I think either you are in or you're out. You can't just be going back and forth. You cannot have allegiance to two countries at the same time. So, Harry, either just remain a Brit because that is what you are, or you can try to become an American. And if he's an American citizen, all he needs to do is head to Mexico. He can stay there, actually. There are some lovely people there who will give him a social security number, a credit card, and also instructions on who to vote for in November. Let's talk about Harry's current situation. Okay, so the pathway to U.S. citizenship is a very long and very arduous process, as I've already mentioned. You've got to study for and actually pass the citizenship exam. Honestly, Harry could not do that. There is no way. He couldn't even pass his A-level exams. He cheated. He had some, what was it, private tutor, I think, take the exam for him, or maybe even a teacher. I don't know. It was a huge mess. But there's no way he's going to study for it. There's no way he's going to pass it. Now, at this point, Harry has only submitted I-485, registering permanent address or status change. So if Harry wants to start the whole process of applying for U.S. citizenship, he's going to have to file an N-400, application for naturalization. Harry was not a good student in school. I mean, if he decides to actually try this, he's going to find it incredibly difficult because he's going to have to meet all the qualifications on his own. He's not going to be allowed to have somebody sit that exam on his behalf. And I did read that Meghan whined about how difficult the UK citizenship exam was and that she couldn't pass it. Well, Harry is screwed. Situation with this guy has gotten completely out of hand. I mean, it gets more absurd with each passing day. He is a prince. He is the son of a king. He was born and raised in the UK. Harry was educated by, protected by, and loved by the British people. He even served in the armed forces, and once upon a time, he was the most popular member of the royal family, except, of course, for the late Queen. But obviously, that was the past, and now we have a different situation. Ever since Harry met Meghan, he has abandoned his family, his duties, his patronages, his military roles, his country. He doesn't get along with his family members anymore. He ghosted his friends. He hates the press and also the British people. He and Meghan did not leave Britain on good terms, and it was all because Meghan couldn't get her way, and so they went on to trash the royals and Britain at every opportunity. Harry betrayed everybody. He doesn't deserve those titles anymore. He needs to lose his place in the line of succession too. And it's not fair to the British people who once loved him so much. But Harry has chosen his path in life, and all ties with his formal royal role should be absolutely cut. He's always going to be the son of Charles, sure, but that doesn't give him a right to remain connected with any aspect of royal life whatsoever. I'm afraid if Harry ever tries to come back home to the UK, he's going to find that his home is no longer there because nobody wants him there. I mean, honestly, they burned all their bridges, and there's a lot of water under those bridges, too. There's no going back for him, so fine, let him go, let him become an American, who cares? The best thing for everybody will be when Harry and Meghan just finally fade away into obscurity. Everybody is so tired of the drama. And really, the story doesn't even stop there. I mean, obviously, this was just Harry trying to get a rise out of his father and his brother by talking about becoming a U.S. citizen. If you ask me, it's such a slap in the face to the royal family. King Charles is always going to be Harry's father, but he can't continue to give Harry whatever he wants when Harry shows such an absolute lack of respect for the rest of the family, too. Harry and Meghan are basically engaging in blackmail, and unfortunately, the king just gives in to him time after time. Just let him act like a grown man. It's important that King Charles set some ground rules so that Harry is not allowed to act like a spoiled brat anymore, or eventually King Charles is going to lose the respect of the British people. I mean, I hope that somebody in the firm can get through to him, probably Camilla. I know that he loves his son, but he needs to consider the rest of the family, and especially William, too. Harry's the one who abandoned his family and the UK, so there's no part for him to play there anymore. He has told us over and over again that he wants privacy, just like his mother did, of course, unless the attention was on her terms. I mean, God rest her soul, Diana was also guilty of calling up the media, but at least she didn't trash the family for a quick buck. Harry needs to give up those titles, and then he can see how life works out for him as just an ordinary citizen of the U.S., for as long as they'll have him, of course. But people in the U.S. are not happy about him being here either. It really is such a crazy situation when you think about it. Somehow Harry is turning himself into the victim yet again, even though he's the one who attacks everybody. He is truly the perpetrator. Harry also quit his job. I mean, come on, it's not that complicated. The residence is crown property exclusively for working royals. You're not allowed to quit your job and still keep all the benefits. And I'm sure there is some private property that Charles owns. If he wants to give Harry and Meghan a vacation home, I guess that's his right. Now, I would never do something like that. But again, obviously, my parenting style is not the same as Charles's. And Harry is not going to get any crown property, I can tell you that much. He doesn't work on behalf of the crown. For all intents and purposes, Harry is an American at this point, and I just hope that he can do a better job as an American citizen than he did as a British citizen. Harry is just so immature, though. Everything that he does is like a toddler pitching a fit in the floor. So Harry can have a residence in the UK, of course, but he's expected to buy it, yes, with his own money, not taxpayer money. Harry claims that he wants his invisible children to get to know their cousins, and he wants to fix the relationship with his family. Well, Harry, the ball is in your court. I mean, you can't just go in on a weekend and expect everybody to free up their schedules so that they can make peace with you. Every time Harry doesn't get his way, he acts like a toddler, pitching a fit in the floor. I mean, his choices do not give him the results that he wants, or at least he talks about wanting. But what is the point now, really? I think everybody should just be happy that Brits are not going to have to put up with somebody like Harry. Now he's an American, so Brits, you should be happy. Americans are not, but whatever. We can handle him. The important thing, though, is that the king strips all titles right now, because honestly, they're irrelevant. Those titles are meaningless since they're attached to Harry and Meghan. I don't think King William is ever going to allow any comeback from Harry. It doesn't matter what happens with King Charles. I mean, the truth is, Brits will only have love for Prince William. And luckily, people in the UK still have Prince William. He is going to be an amazing king. He's already doing an amazing job as Prince of Wales. And unlike Harry, he's not evil. He's also not weak like his father is. I'm sure that William is going to make a remarkable king. He's going to go down in history. And he will bring further development to the UK. And I'm sure William is going to do whatever he can to punish Harry and Meghan. He'll make them feel sorry. But anyway, back to Harry becoming an American citizen. Sure, Harry, go for it. I wonder, does that mean that the invisible children and Meghan are going to renounce their titles? Are they going to give up their places in the line of succession? If so, yes, please, this is a great idea. I can't wait to see Meghan try to make some money without that Duchess title attached to her name. And I would also love to know why the gruesome twosome are still using #SussexRoyal. Now, one of their fans claims that it's a fan site, but it's not. I'm also curious if Harry and Meghan are going to give back all the expenses they charged charities just for the two of them to show up and give a word salad speech. I thought the whole point of Harry and Meghan being involved, too, was to raise money for a charity, not steal its money. They have charged ridiculous fees for Invictus Games in Dusseldorf. And why? Well, because of greed. Harry needs to make a decision and stick to it. We hear one day that he wants to return to Britain to help out, and now we're hearing he wants to stay in America forever and ever. Well, okay, Harry, if you want to stay in America, remember, you're going to have to go through all the steps to become an American citizen, and that test is not easy. Honestly, it's probably the hardest test that Harry will ever be taking. I mean, how could he be smart enough to pass? He's not. So what, is Meghan going to help him? She's also an idiot. Maybe, though, they need to be thinking about how to help people. Maybe they need to be thinking about how to get jobs for themselves, make a living in an honest way. But nobody feels sorry for them, so they need to stop trying to get sympathy. And the important thing, too, is that they never, ever come back to the UK. Part of Harry's problem is also just that he's so damn impulsive. He makes his choices, but he doesn't understand all the ramifications of those choices. He just assumes that everything's going to work out for the best. If any trouble comes his way, well, he can bypass it because he's a prince. Somebody else will deal with it. He believes that life is going to continue in his favor no matter what he does. But at this point, there are very few, if any, people who really support him. And Harry, if you're willing to give up all the titles and become plain old Mr. Mountbatten Windsor, then I guess you can become a U.S. citizen. But guess what? Those children are also going to lose their titles. What could be important, though, is his visa application. I mean, he couldn't even be honest on that visa application, and now he thinks that he can get U.S. citizenship? The U.S. does not encourage drug abusers to come to us from other countries. I mean, if he does something wrong, he might end up becoming stateless. So apparently Harry is in the process of becoming an American citizen, but he's not an American citizen just yet. So I don't know what exactly that means. Maybe it means the U.S. has accepted him as a resident because he has been questioned about his visa application. It all seems very sketchy to me. So maybe he claimed residency, but did the U.S. actually grant him residency? I mean, perhaps he's just counting his chickens before they hatch, as usual. Or perhaps this is just another loophole to try to get out of having to answer for that visa application. It's very strange, and when are they going to stop this bizarre behavior? Just think about everything the working royals had to put up with and still have to put up with because of these losers. Harry and Meghan continue to put out all these rumors to try to confuse everybody, but people are a lot smarter than they give us credit for. So are Harry and Meghan going to lose the titles when Harry becomes an American citizen? Well, if they lose those titles, how are they going to make any money? Good luck to them. I do wonder how many of their so-called friends are going to stick around once they lose the titles. Harry, your family couldn't care less if you become an American citizen, and the British people also don't care. In fact, it's good for them because it means some other country has to put up with your BS. I do hope when the titles are removed, the name will also be removed from all the charities. He also needs to be removed from the line of succession to the throne and any other royal duties that are still hanging around. And I'm sure the veterans are going to be so happy if he's no longer in charge of Invictus. The money both of them has wasted is finally going to go to the vets who deserve it. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. If this is true, that is great news for British taxpayers. He's going to have to relinquish his titles. The British government, parliament is going to do it. That's how monarchy works. And I hope he doesn't expect a penny from American taxpayers. We're not going to pay anything for him or his family. He's going to have to pay taxes. So he's going to have to find a way to make money without trashing his family in the process. And I don't know what he'll go by. I guess he and Meghan will go by Mr. and Mrs. Mountbatten Windsor. That is his real name. Not Sussex, though. They won't be allowed to hold on to Sussex. But if he becomes a U.S. citizen, I don't think Harry's going to have any choice in the matter. He'll have to give up the prince title, the duke title, or anything else he still has. He's going to have to swear allegiance to America. Now, Meghan, I think we're going to have to pry that title out of her cold, dead hands, so I don't think that she's going to let his citizenship go forward. She's going to do something to stop it. But he has to make a decision. I mean, I think it's going to be, around 6 years before he's given a tax bill? And then we're going to hear probably more complaining about how important he is and people don't recognize it and he needs security. He's so spoiled. It's really just outrageous. But if Trump becomes president, I don't think any of this is going to work out for Harry. Trump has already said he's going to deport the idiot. And if Harry thinks that he's making a point to his family, he's even dumber than I thought. I think Harry, though, is panicking about the election because if immigration revokes his status over lying on his visa application, then he is going to be deported. And I think that's why he's backdated it. He wants to try to fast track the process so that it is finalized by November because he knows the Biden administration is going to be a lot kinder to him than the Trump administration will be. The reality is Harry and Meghan do not want to relinquish those titles because they know that is the way they make money. Without those titles, they're a couple of nobodies. So honestly, friends, I'm not sure that we can consider this to be a voluntary move. In some ways, I guess he is being forced. So, also, because of rumors that Harry's wanting to postpone the residency date, if he decides to become a U.S. citizen, then the titles that are so important to Meghan Markle are going to be taken away, and I'm sure the children's titles will also be taken away. So, why backdate his date of residency to June 29th of 2023? Everybody already knows that Harry and Meghan bought a place in the US back in 2020. Both their names, I would guess, are on the mortgage papers. And if all the days that he and Meghan spent in the UK were added together, I mean, it would be a real stretch to even come up with 3 weeks altogether. I don't think it's right for somebody who has publicly lived in a different country to backdate his date of official residency. Seriously, what is he trying to get out of this? If he ever wanted to be a citizen of America, then it should be now. Actually, Harry already meets the requirements to become a U.S. citizen, so you have to be a qualified spouse of a U.S. citizen for 3 years. But if he backdates it to last year, that means he's got another 2 years to go. Not a smart move if you ask me, but then again, Harry's an idiot, so why are we surprised? One thing I'm certain of, though, is that even if everything in this world changes, Harry's crimes are always going to be unforgivable. He tried to destroy his own family, but obviously that little scheme blew up in his face. He's only got himself to blame. And he can't treat the royal family like that and expect to just get away with it. So honestly, I think most Brits are hoping that he does become a citizen of the US, because then at least he's going to lose all titles. But he better not think for 1 second that we Americans are going to put up with his BS. We are not paying a penny of our hard-earned money to Harry or Meghan. He expected the taxpayers in Britain to foot the bill for everything for his security. No, Harry, it's time to wake up and act like a man. Make your own money for once. All right, friends, I would love to know what you think about Harry leaving the UK to become a full-fledged American citizen. Please let me know in the comment section below. If you want us to talk about any other topic regarding the royal family, please let me know in the comments. And I do hope the video resonates with you. Don't forget to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Goodbye for now, and I'll be back to see you again soon in other videos on the Queen channel.